Come on to mi gente. Yo, what's going on, guys? Week one of the Premier League is over, and I'm here to talk about what happened between the games, some shocking surprises, who looked good, who didn't look good, and yeah, new video. I hope you guys like it. Make sure you guys like, sub, do all that good stuff, and let's just get into it. So first game was on Friday. We had Manchester City versus Burnley. City coming into this game as the champs of the Premier League, winning actually the treble last year, and promoted Burnley, wanted to show off what they're capable of. And it started off in City's favor. Who else but Erling Haaland? He scored in like the 4th minute of the game, and City just looked like they were going to easily win that game, right? So Haaland started off early for City. Later on in the game, a few minutes after, there was a controversial challenge between Akanji, where he was pulling Zeki Amdouni's arm in the penalty box. And in my opinion, it could have been a penalty, but the referee said no pen. So that could have been a chance for Burnley to tie the game. Unfortunately, a few minutes later, a scary sight for City fans when Kevin De Bruyne actually got injured on the field. Pep subbed him off for new signing Kovacic. There's actually been an update for Kevin De Bruyne's injury. He's actually going to be out a few months. I've been reading that he's going to be out for a few months, but they haven't really specifically say what it is. It could be updated now where they know what the problem is, but I've seen that he is going to be out for a few months, which really hurts City, not just the Premier League, but they also had the Super Cup coming up this week, and also the Champions League that comes up later in the year. Quote, he was injured again, unfortunately, same place and position as the Champions League, and he will be out for a while. Tough luck for City, but hey, they have the quality players on the bench that could, they're not KDB level, but they are good players that could help City win games. But after Kevin De Bruyne got out the field, who else but Erling Haaland? Getting assisted by World Cup winner Julian Alvarez, Haaland got his second of the day, and City looked like, even without De Bruyne on the field, they were easily going to win that team against newly promoted Burnley. Now look, Burnley is new in the Premier League. They haven't been here in a while. They have a new manager in Vincent Kompany. But there's one thing that I loved when I was watching the game was that the pressure that Burnley was applying, not just to the City defenders, but also Ederson, well, it was pretty good. We all know how good Ederson is with the ball, and the pressure they were applying, they had some chances to score. It's just that they just couldn't convert. But Burnley, they're pretty good when pressuring, especially against the City team, who we all know Pep hasn't been checked 24/7. Rodri was also a very dominant force in this game. He showed how important he is to the City midfield, even without De Bruyne in there. He was helping defensively, offensively, creating chances, opening space, and he actually scored in the 75th minute of this game. Now look, it was Burnley's first match back in the Premier League, but they were also the first team to get a red card. Late in the game, Walker got tackled. Rory, my bad if I'm butchering the name, but he had a bad tackle on Walker, which had him get sent off. City easily won that game. Burnley, they look good, but City, there's something else. And then Saturday, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. The game started a bit later than usual because the fans are having trouble getting in with, I guess, some new ticket system that was going on at the Emirates. So the game had to start a little bit later than usual. Either way, Nottingham Forest almost scored in the beginning of the game with a header pass from Bowley to Brendan Johnson, who had a one-on-one with Ramsdale, leaving the defense completely frozen. And, of course, he missed. That was a very big chance for Nottingham Forest, and I'm pretty sure that Johnson would have taken that back and he would have scored. Unfortunately for Nottingham, it was Arsenal who were the first to score. From a world-class assist from Martinelli, and Nketiah was able to put it behind the net. And then not shortly after, Saka was able to shoot a banger to get a 2-0 lead over Nottingham Forest. But unfortunately, Arsenal got hit with the injury, and it was a brand new signing, Jurgen Timber. So they've been doing scans, they've been doing all that. They haven't said if it's an ACL, they haven't said if it's a meniscus injury, but it sucks how De Bruyne got injured. Now Timber might be out for a couple months. It sucks with these big teams. They got the Premier League they want to win. They got the Champions League. All these tournaments that they're trying to qualify, not qualify, but they're trying to win. It sucks. So hopefully Timber recovers well and he comes back on the field as soon as possible. Also, new signing Declan Rice. He almost scored, but new signing for Nottingham Forest, Matt Turner was able to deny him his debut goal. A few minutes after, Forest would try to come back towards the end of the game by countering Arsenal. And dude, when I tell you, Awoni was sprinting like a tank. Like, if someone were to get in front of him, bro, they're gonna get trucked. Like, he looked like a linebacker running out there. Awoni was sprinting along with Alanga to make it 2-1, but it wasn't enough. There wasn't enough time. Arsenal come victorious. West Ham versus Bournemouth. Look, West Ham are coming into the new season without Declan Rice, and they're playing away at Vitality Stadium. Both teams actually had good chances to score in the first half, with Souček hitting the post, narrowly getting a goal for West Ham. But the goals didn't come until the second half, when Bowen absolutely hit a banger with no keeper in the world stopping that, give West Ham the 1-0 lead. Bournemouth weren't going down without a fight though. In the 82nd minute, Solanke took advantage of an unlucky deflection and was able to make it 1-1. West Ham looked good and could have won the game, but Bournemouth stayed fighting to get some points. Bowen and Souček are going to have to hold his midfield down now that Declan Rice isn't here. Alvarez is coming, he's going to have to play a big role too, but Souček and Bowen, they're going to have to carry that midfield. Brighton versus Luton Town. It's Luton Town's game back into the Premier League, and they took on Brighton. Both teams actually had one very good chance each in the first half to score, but it was Brighton who scored. With an assist from Mitoma to March, they had a 1-0 lead in the first half. Brighton was absolutely dominating the game, but it wasn't until the second half where both teams actually managed to score again. And the goals came from penalties. João Pedro was able to make it 2-0 for Brighton, and it wasn't until Luton Town got another penalty around 10 minutes later, making it 2-1. Luton Town possibly could have came back. Who knows? Newly promoted team, they want to show what they're made of. But Brighton just took advantage. Luton Town defensive mistakes, horrible on defense towards the end of the game. And Brighton was able to score a third one. And then Evan Ferguson finished it off with scoring a fourth one. And it was an easy game for Brighton. Estupiñán, even though he had a yellow, he had a very good game. And going, further into the season, he, I think, will be a very important player for this Brighton side. Brighton 4, Luton Town 1. Everton versus Fulham. Everton were so close to scoring in the first 30 seconds of the game from a bad pass from Fulham's defense, with Maupay just barely missing the goal. Everton were dominating the first half and had multiple chances to take lead, but German keeper Leno, I'm telling you, this man was saving everything and he was keeping Fulham in the game. Everton could not get a goal. Leno was going crazy. Man of the match in my opinion. Fulham were the teams that actually started the game very good in the second half, and it was none other but Mexican, right? Raul Jimenez, who almost nearly scored and hit the post. Unfortunately for him, he was subbed out for Mitrovic. Fulham have Raul Jimenez, Mitrovic, and Vinicius. Don't get it wrong with the Vinicius from Real Madrid, but they have those forwards to compete for the striker position. And I actually think it's very good for Raul and Mitrovic, because it's going to make them want to try harder to be that number one guy. Even if Mitrovic does leave, maybe he stays, right? And he's going to have to fight for that number one spot for the team. Jimenez as well, he isn't the same player he was, but we all know that he's going to try. When a player wants to be the number one man, the striker for the team, they're going to try their hardest to be that guy. But Fulham overall were a better team in the second half. They took advantage of Everton's mistakes, and the Cordova Reed was left wide open for the open goal, giving Fulham a 1-0 lead and eventually the final scoreline for them to get the win. Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace. Zaha-less Crystal Palace traveled to Bramall Lane to face newly promoted Sheffield United. Crystal Palace started off the game actually very slow, and Sheffield were the ones who actually looked pretty good, trying some attempts and almost scoring. But eventually, Crystal Palace found their groove, and they just dominated the game and just took advantage of the chances that they were creating. It wasn't until the second half where Ayew made a great cross to Edouard, giving him a 1-0 lead. Sheffield had a good chance to equalize with a shot from William Osula, but barely missed. Palace ended up taking a dub, and final score 1-0. Newcastle United versus Aston Villa. A goal fest in this game, and who other but the new signings for Aston Villa and Newcastle. Sandro Tonali was able to make it 1-0, giving them the advantage, and Diaby actually scored a few minutes after. However, Newcastle did flip the switch a little bit, and Isaac was able to make it 2-1, giving Newcastle the lead. A few moments after, again, injuries hurting these Premier League teams. Tyrone Mings actually went down, and it does not look good. As of now, there has been no update. It could be his leg, and it could be actually a season-ending injury. But as of now, no update, and hopefully he recovers well and quickly. Both teams actually played good in the first half, but it wasn't until the second half where Newcastle just took over the game. Isaac scored once again, making it 3-1. And I'm telling you, this kid, bro, his pace, he's strong on the ball. He's very hard to get out the ball. He's going to be a problem for every team that Newcastle face. Also, new summer signing Harvey Barnes came in along with Colin Wilson, and they immediately went to work. Harvey Barnes assisted Wilson, and I don't know how long, I don't know how many years, but Wilson is very consistent in scoring in the opening game for Newcastle. Harvey Barnes also got on the score sheet, ended the game with 1 goal and 1 assist, and also ended the game for Newcastle winning 5-1. A very good show for Newcastle, and next week they play City. That's going to be a very good game. Brentford versus Tottenham. Harry Kane has finally left Tottenham and has joined Bayern. We'll see how Spurs do without him, and if they could, rack up as many goals without him. They got new signing James Maddison, and he will be a key factor in assisting the forwards like Son and even scoring goals himself. We all know how good he is. Maddison actually got it starting off and gave an assist to Christian Romero, who unfortunately before scoring the header, he collided with a Brentford player, and they were thinking about taking him off, for concussion protocol. But supposedly that the paperwork they were trying to fill out that, that's why it took a while. But he was able to score from Maddison set piece free kick. And immediately after that, you could see that Romero was hurt, and they had to take him off immediately. Hopefully he's good. I think it's a few days, or maybe even a week before, they're clear to go back into playing. But yeah, Romero scored, and Maddison got the assist. However, new Spurs captain Heung-min Son, bad challenge in the penalty box, and he gave a penalty to Brentford, who made it a 1-1 game. Not long after the penalty, Brentford were able to score again, with Rico Henry crossing into Wisa, giving them a 2-1 lead over Spurs. But because of the additional time of 11 minutes because of what happened to Romero, Emerson was able to score a legit banger from outside the box, making it 2-2. I'm telling you, this weekend was full of pretty good goals, I'm not going to lie to you guys. But look, that wasn't the only thing. Even though Emerson Royale scored, Brentford had one chance to score and narrowly scored in the additional time, but they went into the second half with a 2-2 draw. Going into the second half, unfortunately nobody scored, but Brentford actually looked good and probably even better than Spurs. They're making Spurs keeper Vicario work, and if he didn't make some saves, they potentially could have won this game, but the game eventually ended as a 2-2 draw. Spurs look to get their first win next week when they face Manchester United. Chelsea versus Liverpool. Don't let the scoreline of 1-1 deceive you. This game was actually pretty good on both offense and defensively for both sides. Liverpool was actually the first one to score with an amazing pass from Salah that cut through Chelsea's defense to Luis Diaz, who hit it with like a slide shot, you could say, to make Liverpool have the lead 1-0. Salah would then score, but VAR would say no goal. And Salah looked hungry in this game. He really wanted to score, but it just never came. And, that was probably his only chance, his only good chance. And, Salah never scored, but he really wanted it throughout the game. You could see the way he was making his runs, trying to shoot, all that good stuff. However, shortly after, new Chelsea summer signing Axel Disasi would score a goal from a very, very nice header assist from Chilwell. And then a few moments after that, Chilwell would score again, but VAR would say no goal. And it was 1-1 heading into the second half for both sides. The game, however, would end 1-1, but there were actually some controversial events in the game where also new summer signing Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea, he would appear to, show a handball from a Liverpool cross, but the referee was like, nah, bruh, you guys are not getting that, penalty. I think it should have been a penalty. Some people will say, hey, it's not intentional, things like that. I know the game has changed. I think it was a penalty, but no penalty for Liverpool. Also, Salah, he really wanted to score. He showed it like I was saying earlier. I was saying how he really showed his runs, the shots he was making. However, Klopp actually subbed him out pretty early, and I think it was in the 77th minute. He actually subbed him off, and you can see the frustration that Salah had on his face, the way he was taking out the bandage on his hand. He was frustrated that he was subbed out. He didn't even say, He didn't greet Klopp when he was going back to the bench. He just walked straight past him. For Chelsea, both Chilwell and Enzo had a very good game. You know, Chilwell got the assist, and Enzo, he really looked really good in that midfield. And, you know, I had questioned it, you know, when I was making the predictions for this year's table positions, if he could be, you know, the future of Chelsea's midfield. And I think he can. After that game, he looked really good. And it's going to be, you know, nice seeing him this year, see how he performs against these top clubs. Then, towards the final minutes of the game, Chelsea had one more chance when Pochettino had subbed in Mudryk, and he was going towards the keeper, Alisson, and I guess he tried to, like, you know, round about him, whatever. And he probably, if he would have probably shoot instead of like trying to look for the pass, if he shoots right there with the one-on-one with Alisson, they probably would have scored, honestly. But hey, you know, it happens. Game ended 1-1. Very good game for both sides. Manchester United versus Wolves. A rainy day in Manchester where they looked to host Wolves. And look, both teams actually had a very good chance to score in the first half, but they just couldn't convert the first early chances. Like, you had to convert these chances that both of these teams had. Lisandro Martinez would also pick up an early yellow, leaving him throughout the game cautious without trying to get a sub. And look, when I was talking about my table predictions as well, I was talking about how Wolves brought in Cunha, and I was questioning, you know, if he could do it. And I'm not going to lie, in this game, he looked very good. He had a lot of chances to convert. He looked well when countering with Wolves, and Wolves actually countered very well in this game. They made United's defense look very bad, and I don't know if it was because Martinez had gotten early yellow, and then later on in the game, Luke Shaw will also pick up a yellow, and then like Erik ten Hag was sub out Martinez for, I believe it was Lindelof. Like, Wolves countering this game could have possibly potentially won the game, but they just couldn't convert. But Cunha looked very good for Wolves, and he looks like a very good signing for them, and hopefully he could keep this up for Wolves, you know, maybe even keep them in the Premier League, and that way they don't get relegated. However, United's defense did look bad, but United's defense were the ones to give United a 1-0 lead. With a build-up play that started off, giving it to Bruno, and then Bruno did like a little dink pass to Wan-Bissaka, who Wan-Bissaka then crossed it over to Varane for a header into the goal. I tell you, this goal was nice. It looked like something you come up with training. It was a very nice goal, and Varane was able to give United a 1-0 lead. Wan-Bissaka as well, even though the defense was kind of sloppy, you know, the entire line, Wan-Bissaka, he was pretty good going up and down the runs, you know, coming back, recovering defensively. Wan-Bissaka had a good game. But Wolves would fight until the end. Look, guys, they were looking for that equalizer, and it was so close. When a crossball to Wolves forward, Kalajic, hopefully I'm not butchering the name, would end up him getting hit into the ground by new summer sign Onana. Now look, I've seen people say this wasn't a penalty. I believe it was a penalty. Onana came out and he tried to grab the ball, but he missed the ball completely and he hit the Wolves players. Referee will say no pen, and the Wolves will end up getting no penalty, no last chance from a pen to score, and the game will end 1-0 Manchester United. Unfortunate for Wolves, but United ended up getting the win. Now look, let this be a lesson for both teams. United have to get better on defense, and Wolves, they got to convert from their counterattacks. They look very quick when countering Manchester United, and who knows how they counter other weaker teams. Wolves got to convert. United got to get better on defense. Simple as that. Alright guys, hopefully you guys liked the video. You know, I know it's a new series, you know, that I'm thinking about putting out, you know, little preview of what happened over the weekend, things like that. I might come out with a new video before, you know, this weekend, giving my predictions and who I think is going to win. Make sure you guys watch that City versus Newcastle game. Let me see, I'm looking up right here. It is August 19th. That game hopefully lives up to the hype. I don't even know if there's any hype. I'm hyping it up myself. But yeah, make sure you guys watch that game. It's going to be really good. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked the vid. I'll see you guys next time.